Where your leaders at? There's no white folks running Detroit, cutting water on black folks in Detroit. Everything's happening in our community is black leadership doing this.
We always talking about what the Republicans ain't done for us or what they will do to hurt us. My life has been hurt by Democrats.
Hundreds of millions of dollars are coming down from the federal government, but the money is going to all these special interest groups.
The only thing they're offering the black community is abortion on demand. This is what the president asking for us to vote for.
Now he wants to have this conversation about minimum wage raise because he knows that this is the way to get a lot of the poor people's attention.
Malik Obama said on Good Morning Britain that his half-brother Barack failed to deliver on all the promises he made during his 2008 campaign.
Well, I'm my own man, and, I speak my mind. And the decision was made, it was a, personal decision. I made it all on my own, so it had nothing to do with allegiance or anything like that. I just decided what was best for me. And the other thing is that, looking back, 2020 is hindsight, just looking back, I said, all these promises, my brother became the president and he made a lot of promises and he was, riding on the promise of hope.
The Democratic Party has failed and betrayed the African American community. Democratic crime policies, education policies, and economic policies have produced only more crime, more broken homes.
Donald Trump last week went to Milwaukee because of the rioting behind a police shooting of a young African American male by a black officer. And the city was being burned down in certain parts of the black community by protesters. So Donald Trump decided to go to Milwaukee and speak about the conditions of America and why he felt black people should vote for him. He even went on to lay out reasons why he felt we should. Let me say, listen and watch that speech. We may not like the vessel that said what he said, but I ask us to truly examine what he said, because it is a fact that for 54 years, we have been voting for the Democratic Party like no other race in America, and they have not given us the same loyalty and love that we have given them. We as black people have to re-examine the relationship.
I agree.
Where we're being pimped like prostitutes, and they're the big pimps pimping us politically, promising us everything, and we get nothing in return. We got to step back now as black people and say we got to look at all the parties and vote our best interests.
Look, I couldn't agree with you more, Quinell. I couldn't agree with you more.
The Democratic Party has taken the votes of African Americans for granted. They've just assumed they'll get your support and done nothing in return for it. They've taken advantage of the African American citizen. It's time to give the Democrats some competition for these votes, and it's time to rebuild the inner cities of America and to reject the failed leadership of a rigged political system. And that's what it is. It's a rigged
The inner
system.
cities of our country have been run by the Democratic Party for more than 50 years. Their policies have produced only poverty, joblessness, failing schools, and broken homes. It's time to hold Democratic politicians accountable for what they have done to these communities. At what point do we say enough?
Everything in Chicago is controlled by the Democratic Party. Everything in my community is controlled by black Democrats. There is no Tea Party in my community. There is no Republicans in my community. So they can't blame Republicans. They can't blame Tea Party.
It's time to hold failed leaders accountable for their results, not just their empty words over and over again. Look at what the Democratic Party has done to the city as an example, and there are many others, of Detroit. If you keep voting for the same people, you will keep getting the same, exactly the same result. my administration will go to work for you as no one has ever done before. We will work.
Does the black community want jobs?
The black community need jobs. We need them, we want them, and it's a matter of life and death to us.
It's time to get our country back to work, and that includes an all-out effort to help young African Americans get the good-paying jobs that they deserve. We will bring back jobs. We will work. By contrast, the one thing every item in Hillary Clinton's agenda has in common is that it takes jobs and opportunities away from African American workers. It takes jobs away from all workers because your companies are leaving Michigan, your companies are leaving every single state in our union.
What kind of support do you think that you're getting from the president, being from Chicago?
Well, right now, I haven't seen that much support from the president as far as these communities are concerned. What I've seen is he's put his support overseas. Well, the same support he's putting overseas, he should put here in this neighborhood because we are hurting too.
We will invest a portion of the money saved in a jobs program for inner city youth. The African American community has given so much to this country. They fought and died in every war since the Revolution. They've lifted up the conscience of our nation in the long march towards civil rights. They've sacrificed so much for the national good, yet nearly 4 in 10 African American children still live in poverty, and 58%, as I said, of young African Americans are not working. They cannot find a job. We must do better as a country. I refuse to believe that the future must be like the past. It won't be. Our future is going to be a great future for everyone, for everyone. In a Trump administration, all workers of all colors will get priority for jobs in their own country, which is about time. I want higher wages for African Americans, for Hispanic Americans, and for all Americans. We want higher wages. No group in America has been more harmed by Hillary Clinton's policies than African Americans. No group. No group. If Hillary Clinton's goal was to inflict pain on the African American community, she could not have done a better job. It's a disgrace. America must reject the bigotry of Hillary Clinton, who sees communities of color only as votes, not as human beings worthy of a better future. Hillary Clinton would rather provide a job to a refugee from overseas than to give that job to unemployed African American youth in cities like Detroit who have become refugees in their own country. 40% of Detroit's residents, 40%, live in poverty. Half of all Detroit residents do not work and cannot work and can't get a job. Detroit tops the list of most dangerous cities in terms of violent crime. Number 1. This is the legacy of the Democratic politicians who have run this city. This is the result of the policy agenda embraced by crooked Hillary Clinton.
What about the black family? What about the American family? I tell you that the liberal agenda is not the black agenda. It is not the family agenda.
Democrats have been in control of this community for about 40 years.
Right.
And my question to you is, do you feel that it's the policies of the party have helped this community or hurt this community?
It has hurt this community. because they feel like that they can just take us for granted and that we're just going to vote Democratic anyway. But if there was a Republican who was out here doing what I feel he should be doing, I would vote for him.
The president's policies failing the black community or helping?
It's failing. It's failing. It's failing. I mean, I'll pray about it, and in whatever way God leads me to that person that's going to help, that's the person that I will vote for.
We're not happy with what's going on. And the only way we get to the bottom of this is that we take a step back and we say that we're undecided at this point. We're undecided because our agenda has not been met on, has not been adhered to, and it's almost as if it's just saying, even though you got nothing, even though nobody has addressed your issues, just go with them anyway. And we say no.
To those I say the following. What do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose?
Would you like to be president of the United States?
I really don't believe I would run it, but I would like to see somebody as the president who could do the job, and there are very capable people in this country.
Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life, and I also see it as somebody with strong views and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.